Okay, so welcome, guys. Today we're going to be having a look at the May June 2025 Principles of Business Paper 2 examination. I'm going to go through those questions and have a look at the suggested answers. So let's begin. Now, question 1. Barter was the main means of payment utilized in early economies. Very simple question coming up. Define the term barter. Well, barter, as you all know, is the exchange of goods and services for other goods and services without use of money. Now, part A2 outline one disadvantage of barter. The major disadvantage of barter would have been the double coincidence of wants, which requires two persons who wanted what each other had to offer. Example, a farmer who wanted meat had to find a hunter that wanted vegetables in order for barter to take place. Great job. Now, guys, part 3 state two characteristics of money. Two characteristics of money include portable and durable. Good. Now, moving on to part B. Now, part B showed us a diagram of a check, and we simply had to answer some questions based on that diagram. Now, 1. Identify the drawer of the check in figure 1. Well, that drawer there, as you guys see, would be Kamani Clark. Now, this check was being written by Kamani Clark, so Kamani Clark definitely is, in fact, the drawer. Now, part 2. Identify the drawee of the check. Now, the drawee of the check would have been the institution that was given the instruction to make the payment, and that would, in fact, be the Sunshine Commercial Bank. Good. Now, part 3. List 3 instruments of payments other than checks used in modern economies. In today's society, there are different instruments of payments, as you all know, including debit cards, bank transfers, and even mobile wallets or M-Money. Next, we move on to Part C. Part C told us to differentiate between each of the following pairs of terms. Differentiate means, show the difference between those terms. First of all, we can start up by having a look at the difference between the private sector and the public sector. Now, the private sector consists of all businesses owned and operated by individuals or groups with the aim of making a profit. Therefore, all resources owned by private persons, they set up businesses with the aim of making profits. That is definitely a private sector. Now, the public sector, however, consists of organizations and resources owned and controlled by the government, and these organizations are there with the aim of providing goods and services for the general public. Nicely done. Now, part C2. Differentiate between the public limited companies and the private limited companies. Now, a private company is owned by a small group of shareholders, usually family members and friends, and shares are not sold to the general public on the stock market. Whereas a public company is one where any member of the general public can be a shareholder, as shares are sold publicly on the stock exchange. Great job, guys. Time for us to continue down. Now, part D. Explain one advantage and one disadvantage to the society in a mixed economy when compared with the society in a free enterprise or capitalist economy. So we need to look at advantage and disadvantage of a mixed economic system. Now, in a mixed economic system, we all know there's a system where both the government and private individuals own resources and provide goods and services. So what is the advantage? Well, let's go. In a mixed economy, both the state and private individuals work together to provide goods and services for citizens, thus ensuring that even low-income earners have access to basic needs, whereas in a free market, only those who can afford it will be able to access it. Right, so the main advantage is that both the government, the state, and private individuals work together to provide goods and services for members of the general public. Now, how about a disadvantage of this? Well, disadvantage. Too much government intervention or too much government involvement in a mixed economic system may dampen entrepreneurial spirit, which may lead to inefficiency or slow decision making in private enterprise. This can reduce innovation and competitiveness compared to a free enterprise economy where private firms operate with few restrictions, where there's little or no government interference. The main disadvantage here is government interference, guys. Good job. Now, that would have brought us to the end to get your full 20 marks. Now, moving on to question 2. Now, question 2, part A. 1. List 3 documents utilized in the operations of a business. Now, documents used in businesses include statement of account, performer invoice, and even a purchase requisition. Now, why is it necessary to keep proper business documents? Well, number one, to keep accurate records of financial dealings for business so proper financial reports can be prepared to show the profit of a business. Two, to keep accurate records with customers and suppliers via the use of a statement of account. And the third main reason why we keep proper business documents is to record transactions in such a systematic way so that if any disputes arise, it can be checked. So that they can be checked if disputes ever arise regarding payments and charges. There we go, guys. Right, part B. Describe each of the following types of insurance policies, guys. Number one, public liability. Now, public liability is insurance against accidents or injuries caused to the public where the company has done everything in its power to prevent this from happening. Example, if a member of the general public trips and hurts themselves on company premises, the company will now be able to make a claim on the insurance to cover their damages. You guys know that insurance basically is compensation for an event that happens, or financial compensation. So businesses will take out these type of policies such as public liability and the one below employer's liability. The employer's liability is basically where this insurance will cover accidents involving employees that occur on company premises or while conducting company business. If the company has taken necessary precautions, it can use this insurance to protect against claims made by employees. So again, in a nutshell, if employees actually get damaged in the working environment or while they're actually conducting business on behalf of the company, they can claim damages, right? Compensation for damages that happen to them. Great. Now moving on to part C. Define each of the following principles of insurance and state one example of each principle. First of all, insurable interest. Now, insurable interest means that you can only insure something if you would suffer a real financial or personal loss if it would damage, destroy, or loss. A business can insure its own factory, but they cannot insure the building of their competitor. So you must be the one to stand a personal loss, guys, as insurable interest. But the principle of indemnity, however, goes on to say that this involves putting someone back into the position they were before the loss happened. So indemnity establishes how much compensation needs to be provided for a loss and may be simple to calculate in certain situations. Alright guys, there we have both insurable interest and indemnity being defined. Time for us to move on to part D. Now part D was a lengthy paragraph here which is giving us a contract scenario. So let's have a read. So Mr. Cole has a phone that he would like to sell to his 13-year-old neighbor Roll. He approaches Roll, who's very excited about the phone, and although the phone is expensive, it is the latest in the series. Roll tells Mr. Cole that he can only deposit half the agreed price and he would pay the balance at the end of the month, at which time Mr. Cole will deliver the phone to him. Roll's mother hears the transaction and tells Roll that he recently received a phone and he should not have agreed to purchase another one. Well, she goes to Mr. Cole and asks that he immediately return Roll's deposit. Mr. Cole refuses and insists that he had a contract with Roll and that he would sue for breach of contract if Roll did not go through with the agreement. Now, number one, identify the principle of contract relevant to the case above. Well, we all know the four elements of a valid contract include offer and acceptance, consideration, intention to create legal relations. But in this case, the principle that is being looked at is competence, because you guys are seeing that Roll is 13 years old. So does Roll have the actual capacity to enter the contract? That's a big question. So number one, answer should be competence. Good. Part two. Explain whether Mr. Cole is likely to succeed if he sues Roll. Now the answer to this is no, Mr. Cole would not be likely to succeed if he sues Roll because Roll is a minor, he's below the age of 18, and therefore he is lacking the competence or the full capacity to enter into a contract. So there's no valid contract existing between Mr. Roll and Mr. Cole, and therefore this is lack of competence here, guys. Now, it suggests two actions that they could take to peacefully settle the dispute without going to court. Now, this is a bit of conflict resolution that we are looking at here. So, one way that they could settle this dispute is that Royal's mother can negotiate with Mr. Cole in order to get back the deposit. And if negotiation fails, then mediation by a neutral party can be used to resolve the disagreement peacefully. Yeah, guys, these are ways exactly, settle disputes. Good. Now that brings us to the end, and that's another 20 marks that you guys would have gotten quite easily. Time for us to move on to question 3. Businesses engage in public relations activities to boost their image. State 3 forms of public relation activities in which businesses engage. Now, first of all, one form of public relation include business entertainment, such as paying for meals for clients in order to create a positive atmosphere for business. 2. Offering special awards such as scholarships. And 3. Sponsorship of sports teams and other ventures. Part B, guys. Describe each of the following methods of promoting sales. Now, this is a bit of promotion. Loyalty points. Now, loyalty points are rewards given to customers every time they make a purchase. These points accumulate and can later be redeemed for discounts, free products, or special offers. By having loyalty points, this will encourage repeat purchase and builds customer loyalty. This is another short-term technique that can be used to attract customers. Good job. Now, another way of promoting sales will be bundling, guys. Now, bundling is when a business sells 2 or more products together as a package deal. The combined price is usually lower than buying each item separately. This increases sales volume and makes customers feel that they're getting a better value for their money. The short-term technique can be used to attract customers. Good job, guys. So let's continue moving along. Now, part C. Describe each of the following marketing activities. Now, pricing, guys. Now, price is a process of determining how much a customer should pay for a product or service. It involves using different strategies that can be used to attract buyers and maximize sales. The right price influences demand and improves or increases profitability. Now, distribution. Distribution is yet another form of marketing activity, but distribution refers to the methods used to deliver goods and services from the producer to the consumer. It includes channels such as wholesalers and retailers. Distribution ensures products are available at the right place and time to meet customers' needs. Good. Now, part D, guys. Firms utilize different strategies to determine the price at which products will be sold. So complete the table below by identifying each pricing strategy described in column 1. So guys, we have the description. We need to determine what the pricing strategy is. Number 1, Just Cool Beverages recently introduced a new line of lemon-based soft drinks with an introductory price below that of a similar product. And when they introduce products into the market at a pretty low price below similar competitors, this is called penetration pricing. Now, all the bakeries in San Porto sell sugar buns at approximately the same price. We have lots of different bakeries selling the same item at similar prices. This is a bit of competitive pricing. And lastly, Jazz Festival charges different admission prices for students, adults, and seniors. So they're offering same product but charging different prices. This is known as price discrimination. Good job, guys. Time for us to move on to part E. Examine the advertisement shown in figure 2. So if you look at the advertisement, we are seeing that this here is a tutor, Mr. Genius Extras Institute. Worried that you would not pass your POB exam, want to get a grade A? Sign up with him. Highly qualified, 20 years experience, success guaranteed, guys. Yep, nice advertisement. Now, this type of advertising is known as persuasive advertising. Why? Well, remember, it's actually persuading persons to call him up because he's saying that they will be guaranteed their success. It's very much persuasive, encouraging. The main objective of this type of advertisement is to, or now we see it, to encourage or persuade persons to buy the goods or sign up for the services being offered. Great. Now identify one group being targeted. Well, he's definitely targeting whom? Well, students, and more specifically POB students, as you guys are seeing there at the top. So one group being targeted will be POB students. Now suggest one effective communication medium that he could use to present this advertisement to his target market. How could he get it out to those POB students? Well, he can use social media as one of them. Now there are other different means, but this one is pretty effective. And the part below asks us why. Well, the reason why social media may be pretty effective in this situation is that social media will reach a large audience very quickly, and it basically is very cheap to do so. It also encourages interaction feedback, helping build stronger customer relationships. What's up? And well, that brings us to the end of another question for another 20 marks. Okay, so let's move on to question 4. Outline 2 rules of transportation in the marketing of goods. Alright guys, let's have a look at this. Now, the marketing of goods, first rule is that it will fast track the sourcing of commodities. Commodities, as we all would know, would involve all those goods that they would use in the Caribbean. Now, this ensures that these commodities required in the production process can be transported to manufacture processes as rapidly as possible. So, goods, raw materials, and so on, agricultural items, this is what commodities are. So, ensure that these commodities required in the production process can be transported to the manufacturer or processor as rapidly as possible. Agricultural products, commodities. Now, another role of transport is to ensure security of supply. Manufacturers and processors cannot afford to wait for deliveries of raw materials and components. An organized transport system will get goods to the right place at the right time. Now, identify the most suitable mode of transport for the movement of each of the following products. Well, we have vaccines from Canada to Grenada, that's air transport. Lumber from the parish of St. Joseph to the parish of St. George, road transport. Statistics and CX results, digital. Crude oil from Trinidad to Tobago, pipelines, guys. Great job. There we go. Now moving on below. State 2 problems that may be encountered in the distribution of mangoes from the Caribbean to the United States of America. While problems may be encountered include misdirection of goods as well as delayed shipment. Now, following on from that question, they're going to ask us below, other than the use of GPS systems, outline 2 measures that firms could take to reduce some of the problems encountered in the distribution of goods globally. Now, we did see up here, some problems, you listed some problems. So we're saying, other than the use of GPS systems, what can be used to solve or to avoid these problems from happening in the first place? Well, one, we can develop proper communication networks where we can be able to coordinate effectively with suppliers and distributors, reducing delays and misunderstandings in the distribution process. This will help with communication. Another way that we can solve or avoid distribution problems include ensure careful labeling and documentation of goods. Accurate paperwork and clear identification will help avoid misdirection and losses during shipments. This will make for smoother and more movement of goods. Great job, guys. Time to move on to part D. Now, part D. Again, they made mention of GPS systems in brackets as you guys are seeing there. It stands out, but let's see what they are saying. Queenstown Traders Incorporated provides distribution services for a wide range of imported and locally produced goods. The firm has a fleet of 10 trucks and managers want to use GPS in the management of the company's transportation. Explain 2 benefits that they can gain by utilizing GPS in management of its transport. Now, 1, because of using GPS, they will be able to plan their routes efficiently, so improve route efficiency. GPS allows managers to monitor traffic conditions and select the fastest routes, reducing delivery times and fuel costs. This increases customer satisfaction and lowers operational expenses. Now, part 2 enhances security and management of vehicles. Remember, they are managing a fleet of vehicles. It enables managers to have real-time tracking to know exactly where their trucks are at any point in time. They can monitor their driver performance and it allows for quick responses if theft or emergencies occur. This reduces the risk during distribution. So knowing exactly where your trucks are at any point in time reduces any risk that could happen during distribution. Great job, guys. And that brings us to the end of yet another question. Time for us to move on to the last and final question, question 5. List three financial institutions other than commercial banks, credit unions, insurance companies, and building societies. Not bad. Now, part B lists four services offered by commercial banks. Well, safe deposit boxes, online banking, use of debit and credit cards, and even ATM services. Now, part C, guys, outline one difference between savings and investment. Now, savings, as we know, are that part of income that is not spent but kept in cash or bank accounts. It is less risky because you're just putting money here to leave it over time. Investments, however, involves purchasing assets like shares or property with the aim of earning returns. So you're actually taking your money, purchasing assets, hoping to get back a return in the future. So therefore, these carry a higher financial risk than savings. Now, part C2. Identify one form of saving, as we would see, a bank account, savings bank account. Identify one form of investment. Well, this is like the purchase of assets, or we could say purchase of shares on the stock exchange. Part D, guys, list three personal sources of capital that may be used to start a business. Well, this will include personal savings, borrowings from family members and friends, and even bank loans. Now, part E, the bank's family is struggling financially. A close friend advises them to prepare budgets. Explain two benefits that they could gain from preparing a personal budget. Well, they could have better control of spending. A budget will help the family track income and expenses, preventing overspending and ensuring money is used wisely. Another benefit of budgeting is that it will help with financial planning. Because you're now able to prepare for the future, you can set priorities and allocate funds for spending and savings, and a family can now work towards financial stability and reduce stress because of proper financial planning. Good job, guys. And that brings us to the end of this question 5 for another 20 marks, and this brings us to the end of your June 2025 paper. Right, guys, hope this paper was very informative for you all, and I'd like you guys to comment, like, and subscribe, and please be looking out for our future videos. Thanks again. Good luck in your examinations.